Hey everybody, welcome back to DC Football 101. I'm your host Lucas. As a part of the 14 Rings and NFC East podcast, make sure you check out our full episodes on our YouTube and other platforms as well. That being said, we are previewing week 2 against the Green Bay Packers after a victorious week 1 against the New York Giants. Be talking more about that on 14 Rings and NFC East podcast, recording that tomorrow night. Make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. That being said, this is going to be out Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe to this as well. Comment helps us grow our podcast and doing more episodes like this. Game previews this year, big part of our stuff. So let's get into it. So before I get into this week, let's just look at last week really briefly. I'm not going to get too much into it because, yet again, I want to save most of that for 14 Rings. But I do want to note a few things here. Our offense was okay. It wasn't at the best. I'll be honest. There was a little bit of timing issues with Jayden Daniels. Hopefully that gets corrected in week 2. Yet again, I'm not going to get into too much detail here on that, but it is something to keep an eye on. Our defense played awesome. Special teams needed a little bit of work, but overall, not a bad week for us, week 1 against the New York Giants. That being said, let's get into it for week 2. So last time we played the Packers was 2023, guys, and we won that game, surprisingly. And you know who our quarterback was? Taylor Heinicke, who I don't even know has a home right now currently in the NFL, which is crazy. He had 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had, honestly, not a great QBR 39, but he won us the game there. Brian Robinson, who we just traded this offseason, led the team in carries and rushing yards with 20 carries for 73 yards. Antonio Gibson, shout out to Antonio. He's in, I think he's in New England now, and he is doing backup duty there and special teams primarily. But he had 10 carries for 59 yards. So, just interesting stuff there. Terry McLaurin was the lead receiver on that team with 5 receptions for 73 yards and 1 touchdown. Curtis Samuel was number 2 with 5 receptions, 53 yards. So just keep that stuff in mind. This team is a big turnover. Terry McLaurin's still on the team, and that's offensively, that's pretty much it. Maybe, I believe Sam Cosmi was on the team. Defensively, I don't recognize any of the names currently on the roster besides, Deron Payne didn't even register. I don't know if he played in this game or if he was injured, but he did not register anything in this game. Different kicker back then. Tressway is still on the team, but there isn't very many turnovers. Same thing with the Packers. They, outside of who is it? The wide receiver was Romeo Doubs. None of the other receivers on this list are still on the Packers. Same thing with the running back room and quarterback. So basically, it's a fresh team for both. Fresh start for both teams. Currently, the Packers, they beat the Detroit Lions, who we beat in the NFC Championship game last week, 27-3. They made the big move this offseason, trading for, of course, Micah Parsons. He only had one sack, 1 tackle, all that stuff. Nothing crazy here, but overall they have a pretty elite defense. For those that know, Xavier McKinney was on the Giants 2 years ago. He's really good. He's on their team now. Edgerrin Cooper is really good. Okay, they have some really good players on that team, and just something that we need to watch out defensively. Like Jayden cannot have the poor timing cues that he had against the Giants and get away with it against these Packer teams. So we need to make sure that we're on our point, make sure that our timing is right. I attribute that to not having enough preseason reps during games, but it is what it is. Defensively, we're going to have to watch out for Romeo Doubs. We're still going to have to watch out for the rookie Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft is their tight end. He's reliable in the red zone. Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I don't think I had him in my top 10 this year, but he is a pretty good quarterback. And, the way that we beat him is make him force passes, which means we got to bring the pressure with Wise, Kinlaw, Payne, all of them. We need to bring the pressure. So getting after Love is going to be the part here, because if we can hurry him up, he's going to throw the ball in tight windows, and that's where our corners and our safeties can make the plays that they need to make, okay? We still need to be able to stop Josh Jacobs, pretty good running back, top 10 running back, I think, and still in the league at this point. So just guys that we got to watch out for. Look, this Green Bay Packer team's going to be a problem, okay? For the Commanders this week, I expect the X factor going to be Bill, also known as Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, 7th round pick. He had 10 carries for 82 yards last week, 1 touchdown, along a 42. the guy was electric, and he has something that the other guys don't have, which is the ability to cut back, that quick twitch. Austin kind of has it, but Austin's old. Austin Eckler's kind of old, so we can't really rely on him to do that too much. He only had 6 carries in this game, and I believe he had 3 catches. I mean, not to say that Austin's not a pretty decent sized contributor here, but like we we need Jacory to have another breakout game, because if we can run the ball, especially at Micah, we know Micah's not the greatest run defender. So if we can run the ball, that's going to help open everything else up offensively. And defensively, we just got to stay home and pressure Jordan. If we can do those things, I think we come out with a victory today. I did have in the preseason that the Commanders lose this game, but there are tools, there are ways that we can get the win here. I don't think the Packers are an unbeatable team. Even though I had them winning this game, I think there is a way that the Commanders can win this game. It depends on execution. We can't play sloppy. I'm not going to say that we played sloppy, but we have to put the foot to the ground in terms of bringing up the engine the whole entire game. We can't let up during the third quarter like we did last week. So if I have to make a prediction here, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm going to go with what I said in the preseason, which was that the Commanders were going to lose this game. So I'm not going to change that, because I'm not like that. If I say something, I'm going to stick to it. But I think it's a close game. And I think it's going to be 24-27 Packers, okay? But that being said, there is a way for the Commanders to win this game, and I would not be shocked, and I'd be very happy if they did. That being said, make sure that you follow me every week for our Commanders game preview. We'll have it out a day or two before the game. And make sure that you follow 14 Rings and NFC East podcasts on YouTube, as well as our other platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Until next time, thank you guys for joining DC Football 101 with me, Lucas. Until next time, guys, deuces.